Perfection, like most things, is relative. Something that could be seen as a complete positive to one person could be seen as a downside to another, which is why I rarely like to use the word perfect. It's a word that holds the highest standard possible, and I feel as if it's thrown around so much that its meaning has become slightly devalued, so while I try to use it as sparingly as possible, there are some things out there that I think deserve it. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest music fanatic. It's not to say I don't like music, far from it actually, it's just that I often find it difficult to express what I actually think about a certain song or album in creative ways like most people who are really into music could. So combine me not having an extensive knowledge on how to properly judge music and the fact that I don't use the word perfect lightly, you'd think there isn't a piece out there that I would say fits the category of perfection. But that's where you'd be wrong. Enter Year of the Cat by Al Stewart. It was an unlikely hit at an unlikely time, and the story behind it is actually just as interesting as the song itself. The success of Al Stewart never came easy. I mean, he tried his hand at rock and roll a few times to no avail. However, it wasn't until he moved on from that and went to live in London that things would finally start falling into place. He still performed music from time to time in London, primarily Bob Dylan songs, and he continued this until he made a once-in-a-lifetime connection with a very unlikely person.
I was staying in the apartment run by a social worker, and she said one day, there's this American folk singer, and every time he comes to London, he stays here, and he's going to be in the next room to you, if that's okay. Of course it's okay. And of course this was Paul Simon. I listened to Paul writing songs through the wall. He would finish the songs, and then there's no one else in the apartment, and you have to play them to someone, so he'd play them to me.
After writing his own material over the course of 4 albums, Al still felt like he was doing an unsatisfactory job. He then makes the bold decision to write songs about one of his passions, history. And that clearly was the best decision he could have made, given the fact that it immediately outsold all 4 of his other albums. This album laid the groundwork for the magnificent career that was soon to come. However, more importantly, it also laid the groundwork for what, in my opinion, is the greatest song ever made. At the time, Al's girlfriend had a book about Vietnamese astrology, and after opening it, he came across a chapter titled Year of the Cat, and I'm sure you can see where this is going. Now, what's interesting is that at the time, Al thought that the song had no commercial appeal, and at first glance, I can see why he thought that. He thought it would be too long and that people wouldn't like it, so he decided to put it as the very last track on the record. But lo and behold, when it was released as a single, it spread like wildfire. It was beloved by many, and still to this day is considered one of, if not the best classic rock songs ever made. But why is that exactly? The first time I heard Year of the Cat was on a car ride home where my dad asked my older brother to play it, and from that point on I couldn't quite get it out of my head. At the time, I wasn't quite sure why that was. I knew it was really good, however, explaining why was difficult. I'd say that the biggest problem with a lot of music is that it's very skippable. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting with a friend with music playing, a song comes on and they skip to the good part. Now, what I like about Year of the Cat is, it avoids being skippable by taking the good part and doing this. You'll get a sense of what I'm talking about when you first start playing it. You hear the beautiful and melodic, fast-paced piano playing as its orchestral feeling grows in intensity until it does this. And boom. Just like that, Year of the Cat has already done what most songs fail to do. Captivates you in this world of melody and excitement by perfectly combining its use of the piano and acoustic guitar. It makes you think, what have I gotten myself into? What else could this song possibly have to offer? And disappointing to nobody in the history of the world ever, what follows is the lyrics amazingly written and sang by Al himself.
On a morning from a Bogart movie, in a country where they turn back time, you go strolling through the crowd like Peter Laura contemplating a crime.
That was only the first 2 minutes, and keep in mind, this is a beefy boy. This is a 6-minute and 40-second long song. And while other songs that have this length would crumble under the weight that creating a piece this long carries, Al Stewart uses it to his advantage to tell a great story accompanied by one of the best instrumentals I have ever heard. Year of the Cat perfectly accomplishes what it sets out to do. My bar of music from this era is already pretty high, but this song takes that bar, cooks it, seasons it properly, and hands it back to me in the best way that I could have ever asked for. And I don't think that I'm misusing the word when I say that this song is perfect.
Which direction completely disappears? By the blue tiled walls near the market stalls, there's a hidden door she leads you to. These days, she says, I feel my life just like a river.